What is going on, everybody? I am the FDGURU, bringing to you guys a NBA 2-game episode here of my DFS podcast. Not really a great slate, just 2 games. We've been seeing 3 or 4 games over the last handful of days. We go back to the 4-game slates over the weekend. We got a potential blowout with the Celtics and Heat. 7-point spread for the Pelicans and Thunder. No injuries to wait on. I'm just going to break down this slate. Usually, I give you 5 plays, 1 for each position. I'm going to do that, but also just kind of talk about the whole slate in general and, the best way to attack it. Obviously, it's not a comfortable slate. We don't have anyone projected to hit their value, so we got to really just kind of grind it out. Everyone is at the same disadvantage, so we just got to be better than everyone else. Let's take something down. Usually, in the past, when I've had, any sort of takedowns or, close takedowns, a lot of the time it has been on the grosser 2-game slates. So we'll bring the good vibes to tonight, even though it's not going to be all that fun to be picking these players. But give this video a like, subscribe. I'll be doing an MLB video today as well. The NBA GPP did well last night. Grayson Allen got hurt for the cash team. I knew it was a little risky with his ankle. I knew he wasn't 100%, but, he fell in as a last man guy on the FanDuel cash. So, we ended up getting hurt by that, but we live to see another day. GPP has been crushing this playoff, so let's have another great night tonight with the GPP. Let's cash with the cash team as well. I'm really going to just talk about the cheap guys we can, sort of stomach on this slate because, we got the studs, we got SGA, we got Tatum, we got Bam, Jaylen Brown, So if we want to get to SGA or Tatum, which we're going to want to do one way or the other, we're going to have to go cheap. There are a few cheap guys that we can look at. They're not great, but they look like the best plays in my eyes. DeLon Wright catches my eye at 4,700. We still have no Terry Rozier tonight, so he's obviously the guy who's going to benefit off the bench as the guard. Patty Mills is also there, but he has not been playing. It's been DeLon Wright, and he's been playing well. He hit 3 threes in a row last game late in the Celtics, and it was a bit of a blowout in the end of the game. And if it's a blowout, DeLon Wright's going to play. So I think he plays one way or the other. I think he plays a little bit more in a blowout. We saw him play 25 minutes. We can project him for like 22 minutes if the game stays close off the bench. I do think he's a good play at 4,700. He needs 23 fantasy points to hit value. We've seen him do that in 4 out of his last 5 games. So we could look at him. Another guy in the same range at point guard, you could look at Peyton Pritchard. He saw 24 minutes off the bench for the Celtics. Kind of the same deal as DeLon Wright because, they're playing each other. They're both the first guard off the bench. So you can go either way. You could get a little weird and go with both of them. He almost hit value as well, 20 fantasy points. He's going to need, just over 20, just like DeLon Wright, to hit value. We're not really going to get torn up on guys hitting 5x their value tonight because no one is projected to do it on tonight's slate. Like I said, we just got to have them play well enough to, keep us up there in tournaments. So if Pritchard or DeLon Wright get anywhere over 20 fantasy points, we're going to feel pretty good. Obviously he has a lot of guys ahead of him. He's got Drew Holiday, he's got Derek White, but he's still going to be that first guy off the bench, and they need him to play over 20 minutes. So I don't mind Peyton Pritchard. I do think DeLon Wright is a little bit better of a play because he doesn't have quite as many players ahead of him, with it being only Tyler Hero, but you could look at either guy. Jose Alvarado isn't really in play for me. Now that Brandon Ingram, too, is seeing usual workloads now, looks like he's pretty fully healthy. I don't think Alvarado has much usage behind CJ McCollum. And that's what I like for cheap guys. For shooting guard, I'm going to talk about all the cheap guys we can look at tonight. Lou Dort, projected for 20 fantasy points. That's fine at 4,600. Again, we're going to have to get pretty uncomfortable tonight, but he's really the only guy we can look at for cheap at shooting guard. Duncan Robinson really isn't worth a look. He has a limited role for the Heat now. Dort's going to start. He's going to play anywhere from 25 to 34 minutes, probably over 30 minutes as a starter if this game stays close. Now, he's a very bad fantasy point per minute kind of guy, but playing so many minutes, he can run into things. He can run into steals. We've seen him get over 20 fantasy points in a majority of games on this game log as of late. And like I said, we're not going to feel overly confident about these guys, but these are just the best options we have. 4,600 doesn't look so bad on Lou Dort. Small forward, I do like Trey Murphy. He's just a solid mid-tier guy tonight. 6,800, obviously no Zion Williamson. He's been starting 43 and 44 minutes in the 2 playoff games for him with no Zion. He is the easiest play at 6,800. Needs 34 fantasy points to hit value. One of my favorite plays on this slate tonight. He's not yet expensive enough. I do think by next game, he's going to be 7,500, if not a little bit more. Trey Murphy looks like a solid option here as the third offensive weapon behind Brandon Ingram and CJ McCollum for the Pelicans. Power forward getting back to cheap. Now, you don't have to roster all of these guys because we do have to spend up eventually, but I just wanted to talk about all the guys we really want to look at. Nikola Jovic started and played a decent amount for the Heat last game, 25 minutes, 26 minutes against the Bulls. You could look at him. I think he's more of a GPP play, and I think for $100 more, I think Caleb Martin is the better, safer option. But if you wanted to get a little different, Nikola Jovic is in a similar spot, playing similar minutes as Caleb Martin. They're both going to start, but I do think Caleb Martin is the guy in this spot that we can rely on a little bit more. If we do remember last year in the playoffs, Caleb Martin is the reason why the Heat beat the Celtics in the Eastern Conference Finals. So he has not shown anything like he did last year, but I'm still going to have faith in him. His price is now down to a point where we can feel somewhat confident that he's going to hit value. Needs like 22 fantasy points, but he falls into the same boat as Peyton Pritchard, DeLon Wright, Lou Dort in that salary range where if they just get over 20 fantasy points, we're going to feel pretty good on this slate where we only have 4 teams playing and there's pretty limited value. And then for center, there's really only one center option tonight, in my opinion. I'll talk about the guys who I don't really like. That's Porzingis, 8,400, blowout risk, doesn't see a ton of usage, seemed to play really, really well in the first game and didn't even come close to hitting value. He needs 42 fantasy points, so I'm ruling him off my radar. Bam Adebayo getting swallowed up by the Celtics defense. I do think if you don't go to Chet Holmgren, you could go to Bam. His upside's pretty good. But with Jimmy Butler out, I do think Bam looks better than he should. But he didn't really show much in the 36 minutes in Boston last game. Needs 40 fantasy points if you wanted to go to another guy other than Chet. I do think Bam's the only other option with no Jimmy Butler. Jonas Valanciunas is disgustingly overpriced now because he's had 2 good games. I still don't fully, truly trust his minutes with the Pelicans. He has had 2 really good back-to-back games, but I still don't buy it. Larry Nance is still there and could swallow up any minutes that Valanciunas has because he doesn't come out so hot. Horford not in play. Love not really in play. It's really one guy for me, and that's Chet Holmgren. He's going to play over 30 minutes against the Pelicans. I could see him getting over 40 fantasy points pretty easily tonight. He's been very active in the defensive category. As you can see, 4+ stocks in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. In 4 out of his last 6 games, he has 4+ stocks. So he's been active on the defensive end. I do like Chet Holmgren here. 32 minutes. You can't really look at his minutes before that because it was the end of the regular season and they were just keeping him healthy. First game of the playoffs, 32 minutes, 46 fantasy points. I do like him at 8,200 tonight. There's not a lot of good center options. That'll do it for this video, guys. I talked about a lot of cheap guys. We're going to want to spend up on Tatum, SGA, ideally both. We'll kind of figure it out as we go. And give this video a like and subscribe. Hopefully we can have some sort of exciting finish to tonight's slate. and look back later for my MLB video as well. Thanks for stopping by. Until next time, I am the FD Guru. Peace.